Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing for an invocation. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council I ask as always for strength, courage, and wisdom. We thank you for this wonderful town we live in, the people who reside here.
It seems like their suggestions for a fix is very basic. Mine was quite a dramatic, what I envisioned was quite a dramatic change for the downtown area. However, they are the engineers. I don't.
The problem, I think, with any study is sometimes you don't get the answers you want. And we wanted a quick, simple, and easy solution. Gentlemen, I don't know. I know the one that was sent, that they talked about limiting left turns in two directions. I can't see that being a viable solution, but I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know if we want Dave to kind of move forward on his thoughts, put them in, and get a true stamp blessing from the engineering company before we do anything. I did notice, and I think this has a lot to do with how we can alleviate a lot of our problems downtown, is in driving the new High Street. There at High Street in Monroe, there is a sign that says no trucks over 8 tons declared. Why is that there, and who?
That was placed there by the state of Indiana, and I would like to talk to them and ask if we could remove that and route our trucks south on Monroe Street to High Street and have them make that turn there and go either way, east or west. I think a lot of our problems downtown is the big trucks. I realize they need to get to where they need to go. However, maybe we can find a quicker route, less intrusive. But I would like to reach out to the state and see if we could change that and route our trucks that direction.
Do you have any idea why they would have placed that there? I mean, do you think they did it out of concerns for our truck weights? I mean, obviously, if I'm afraid the trucks are going to abide by that and not abide by any of the other signs.
Right, they're definitely not abiding by the signs that we've put up recently. So
where did the state put the signs?
as you approach High Street from Monroe heading south, right there on the right-hand corner, there's a big green and white sign, no trucks over 8 tons. So I was surprised this morning when I seen it. I thought,
No trucks on Monroe.
On High Street. It says on High Street. The language does not make sense to me at all. Because obviously there's not one coming from the west. I didn't see a sign there anywhere. I don't know why it's placed there. I would rather see a sign at Monroe and Maine that says trucks that way.
Right.
No trucks that way.
yeah, I would like to offer that as part of the solution and, go back to our traffic engineers and say, I hear what you're saying. You have to hear what we're saying. Let's look at this a little closer.
I didn't get the response that I was prepared for from them, but they also said that they had been working with you, so I didn't want to jump in on that.
I'd like for them to come to town and sit down in my office and we can talk about things. And I don't know if they're seeing the whole picture. I don't want to cast anybody or anything in a bad light here, but I think.
Well, we can't see it like we see it because we live here.
Right.
There's no way they'll see it like we see it.
Right.
Be real truthful, I think we've wasted money so far on this whole thing. Gigantic waste of taxpayer dollars on this so far. So it's, in my opinion, you're here, we all live here, push and push and push, get the answer you feel comfortable with, and then I guess come back when that happens.
Would anyone have any objections to pushing the trucks on south? The trucks are going to
That
come
makes
here.
sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be local deliveries, but typically local deliveries are, the drivers have a better sense of what they need to do. If you got somebody cutting over from 70 to 67 through town,
Yeah, we need to try to eliminate that. If we could get them to go on up to High Street, if it's a delivery to, say, Kroger, we may have to modify some striping there at that intersection heading south to make room for the trucks, but there's plenty of room there.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of room at the new intersection at Monroe and High.
If you fought this as an officer here, I mean, what do you see?
Same thing you say. I mean, we know what the problem is. I mean, are they working with you? I know you came up with a couple different ideas for the Made in Indiana. Are they
Yeah, they
looking at that or no?
Yeah, they looked at it, shot back some ideas, but I think it's still kind of a little too simple. I think it's more complicated than what everyone's thinking.
So we turn Dave loose with them with a meeting in his office. I mean, get him down here and take him out and show him.
You know, the response back was, we have a lot of video from that, but I don't know that they have the video of sitting down with you and you going over time and time again exactly what we're saying.
Glad to do it.
yeah, if they rolled around with you, they'd see it a little, you can't tell anything from video.
Just tiny little quick.
I doubt.
In building as many bridges and roads as I have with that, one of the things on High Street being new construction, the reason they might have put that there, especially if they're talking to left turns, is looking at weight restrictions as far as like new drainage throughout there, what the drainage style is that they put in with, because you get an 80,000-pound truck rolling through there, depends on how much actual asphalt concrete we have, what the weight is on the drainage styles, because you get enough trucks rolling through there, it could collapse those drainage styles, and then we were right back to repairing High Street again.
Yeah, but it is still listed as a state highway.
Yeah.
It is still listed as State Highway
Built to state
42.
specs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's heavy duty asphalt. Yeah.
And right now, they're destroying our infrastructure.
Yeah.
It could be a response to our own ordinance where it was passed a few years ago that eliminated the truck route through the town. And it would take a new ordinance to solve issued from Hendricks County line all the way to High Street, correct?
That is correct.
The only problem if a low boy comes up through there, he's liable to beach it right there when he tries to make that turn.
Yeah, you're right. Seen that happen.
I've done that.
Well, can you at least reach out to them, find out what's going on, and then after that, then if nothing else, we make a truck route?
Sure will.
Okay. Fire Department Public Hearing Ordinance 16, 2021. This was the ordinance transferring or appropriating the $44,305 for the fire department. This was a donation and the sale of surplus equipment. The way the statute reads, we put that money back into the fund that it was originally spent out of, and then we will additional appropriate out of that. This is a public hearing. Do I have anyone in the audience that wants to speak either for or against this additional appropriation?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Gregg. Motion to either approve or deny ordinance 16, 2021.
Motion to approve ordinance 16-2021.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Gregg, 5-0. Under new business, gentlemen, would you have a problem, since we have, sorry, you may get mad at me here. Since we have someone here on the clock, do we want to move the Baker Tilly up, or do you want to take them in the order that they were printed?
We can move Baker Tilly on.
I'm sorry about that. She's costing us money.
Thank you. So I presented to the town a scope of services to develop a long-term capital plan. We do this for a few of our clients. So basically what the scope of services entails is that we would meet with you and your department heads and develop a list of capital priorities. We would identify your capital priorities, put a dollar amount to each of those projects and priorities, and basically compile those into a summary report. As a part of this scope, we also have it's basically an Excel format that we would turn over to the town, and then you can update it on an annual basis or have us update it, but it would be your plan that you can update on a periodic basis. And as a part of this scope, we also help you determine your fiscal capacity to fund these projects. So we would help you determine what might be the best mix of funding for these projects, whether it be a combination of cash reserves, debt financing, or even private investments and donations. So we would help you look at that. One of the final steps of this process, I mean, really, a capital improvement plan is never final, but a piece of this process is actually solidifying this plan and putting it into a written document that we would obviously help you do that, and you would formalize it and adopt it so that you have a formal capital improvement plan. This is especially important when you go to issue bonds. That kind of helps with financial management. It lends to the fact that you're managing your capital projects and your finances appropriately. So really the major benefits from doing this is it does help you prioritize the projects and put them into a formal plan. It helps spread the cost of capital improvements over a certain time frame. And then you can be proactive with replacing your equipment and vehicles rather than all of a sudden you're hit with these huge maintenance costs because you have some old equipment and vehicles that you have not replaced on a periodic basis. So that's essentially what this is about. I did, if you're interested, bring a sample copy of a plan that we did in another city. I will mention that we generally do these for larger cities, but I mean, obviously we can also do them for small towns as well.
Oh, you're fine.
So this is one we did for the city of Huntington, which is up north. So this is kind of the official plan, so to speak. It's the summary, but what you're not seeing behind this is the Excel document that really has several tabs. It's got a tab for each department that lists all the projects and then all the funding sources. So it's easy for you or the department heads to go in and update that plan on a periodic basis. So there's a lot of narrative in here, but towards the end is the actual listing of projects, and we can list it by fund, by department, or by project. It really, the Excel document allows us to sort it and filter it in a way that is easily presentable. So that's all I had. Do you have any questions?
Would you mind explaining for the benefit of the public what capital improvements entail?
So capital improvements would really be anything over $5,000 is kind of how we look at it from an accounting perspective. So it would be equipment, vehicles, building improvements, sometimes building maintenance, depending on what you're getting into there. If it's replacing certain items in a building, it could be fire trucks, fire stations, any number of things. But typically from an accounting perspective, it's any, purchase over $5,000 would be considered a capital outlay or improvement.
Do these include projects throughout the town?
Yes.
Like a street project or a
Right. We would look at all departments of the town, including the utilities. So every department would be included, as it should be. It should be comprehensive to the town.
Can you describe our process currently? I haven't really seen one since I've been on, but can you describe how we do it now?
I have not been involved in the town's capital process. I'm just involved in the budget portion, and once it gets to budgeting, you all have already determined your capital needs in the budget. So I unfortunately I don't have an intimate knowledge of your capital planning process here.
I can describe the process as I see it, and Jeff, you've been on here. Usually, do we need it, and can we afford it? How can we pay for it? I think you've done some projects in the past, whether it's the rehabbing of an old building for a police station, funding of a dispatch center, equipment to do our maintenance of our drainage swales and ditches throughout the town. We've always tried to be a little bit forward thinking. Right now we have a couple pieces of equipment at our street department that are possibly needing replaced, and we're looking at ways to fund them. So that's the way we've done it in the past, because we don't have a whole lot of money. We have some funds that we can look at as far as our capital improvement. We've kind of left it up to Dave as far as our sewer infrastructure, being able to steam in place, line some of that, some of our work, and never really put a dollar amount on it because we don't know what it is. Our paving, we've been fortunate with the Community Crossings Matching Grant funds, but we never know what that number is going to roll in at. Still haven't seen exact hard numbers on census population, seen some good estimates, but don't know where we're going to be as far as our match on those. So that's how we've done it in the past. We haven't done any major, well, I guess our sewer improvements, but that was the funding was already figured out and set in place when you joined us.
I just think better planning makes sense, maximize taxpayer dollars. I don't think it's rocket science. And we wouldn't end up with a street sweeper that's broken down if we had known that it was coming, and they demoed one several years ago, so they obviously knew that it was aging. I didn't find out about it till a few weeks ago or months ago. So I think it's a forward-looking document that helps the town organize what projects it wants to do, and does so in a public way where the public can search this document, correct? It's not a hidden document.
No, it's often a public document. We oftentimes do these capital improvement plans along with cash flows, and we already do cash flows for the town. But
Right.
those are often public documents. Sometimes it's posted on a town or city website, so you can see the plan.
A couple of meetings ago, you were here and I drilled you, quite frankly, and you recommended a plan like this at that meeting. But I feel like when we look at numbers here, we really don't have a handle. We talk about the Indiana Street Ditch Project, we talk about Carlisle Monroe, we talk about different things, and there's no independent guidance from an expert that helps us come to those conclusions. It's just, can you get three people to agree? And I think sometimes you don't factor in the opportunity cost of a decision that way. If you do project A and you'd finance it this way, or you use your cash this way, you could jeopardize project B when you could have done them both if you had sound, solid guidance. And it's worked so far because we're very conservative. But we do fairly large projects. The Gateway was a $12 million bond that the town approved as redevelopment commission, but the council approved that at the time. So, I mean, you're talking some pretty big numbers on some of these items. Can you talk about the costs
Yes.
associated with it?
Right, so The cost to set up this plan and provide this planning document is not to exceed $15,000. If we were to do annual updates, it would just be time and expense, but it would be something much less than that if we're just updating something on an annual basis. But this is this would be the output, this document that you could adopt, and then also you would get the Excel file if you wanted to make the updates on your own.
I also think this gives, as she mentioned, the department heads direct contact with the financial advisor, which I don't think is a bad thing. It gives them an outlet to be able to present their requests instead of this past round where they presented requests that didn't make it to the council until it was too late. And I think it would prevent things like, again, like the street sweeper where you put it on a schedule, or you at least know what's coming a couple of years or a year in advance. Because how far back do some of these projects go, or how far into the future do some of these go in this sample plan?
Yeah, it's really up to you, but usually they're 5 to 10 years. And this particular one, I think we just did 5 for the output, but the actual Excel file, I believe, is 10 years. So that's kind of up to you, but generally speaking, they're 5 to 10 years. And obviously, again, it's kind of a work in process because it's continually changing. But what we typically do, if you have us help you with this on an annual basis, is we will sit down with the department heads, but we will have members of the council involved as well. Because, you know, department heads, they know what they want or need, and sometimes those are two different things, but we need help from council and also department heads to prioritize those needs as well. So
Right.
we're working in combination with both parties.
How do you see, I think our new redevelopment commission has tried to have a spirit of working with the town council and also other entities like our school system. I think they've made a very strong concerted effort to do both. How could something like this fit into, you know, they're discussing future projects right now themselves. How does something like this kind of coordinate those efforts with us?
We could absolutely coordinate that, and we do in some cities. We work for the city of LaPorte, and we incorporate their redevelopment commission in that, because there are some times or some areas where TIF can be used to fund some of your projects. Tax increment finance can be used to fund some of your projects. So if we're coordinating efforts with the town and the redevelopment commission, it may benefit the town in the long run, but it's just a comprehensive look at everything that's going on within the town. So yeah, we certainly could incorporate that within the plan.
I mean, I don't speak for them, but if they were to incorporate this, would the 15,000 cover them as well, or would that be a separate fee? Would it be one?
I would have to see what, you know, how many TIF areas do you have and all of that. If it's just a couple, I think we could probably fit that in within the 15,000.
Would it be one master document?
Yes,
or
that's
would
the
it
way
be,
we would prefer it.
Okay.
Or how, I wouldn't say preferred, it's up to you, but we would typically have that in a master document. If you wanted it split out, we certainly could do that.
I mean, regardless of what they would want to do, I'm for us, because I think we do deal with enough money that's not ours that it's good to have your input. I think one good decision out of your efforts would pay for the 15, you could save $150,000 and pay for it 10 times, you know, on some of this money we're talking about.
Other questions or comments?
Questions or comments from the council? Paige, I appreciate you coming in. I would like more time personally. I want to go through this. I want to see what it is. Before it was just a, hey, capital improvement plan. And like I said, you know, we've done exactly what this has done in-house. You know, we have looked for every way and any way that we can pay for any job. We've shared costs with our redevelopment board when we can, and use funds set aside for others. And looking at this, that's what it shows is where are those? I know that there's a couple projects that it shows cash. So is that a financing it and then making the payments with cash? Is that what that?
It could be that, or just simply using cash reserve. So a part of this capital plan is, you know, if you are comfortable with using a certain amount of cash reserves, we could do that, but we'll also make sure that you do not drop below a certain level. And that kind of is up to you too. 25% is a pretty good reserve level, so we probably wouldn't recommend you drop below that. So it could be a combination of using reserves for a one-time purchase, or maybe you're using those reserves as a debt payment on an annual basis. So it kind of depends on the project size, and what makes sense for the project.
So do you want a motion to table it?
Real quick, not that I speak for the RDC, there's other members, but I will get you all of our TIF information.
Okay. And do you think we already have it? Does Baker Tilly work for the redevelopment commission? Okay, then I can get it from Baker Tilly.
Can you go ahead and forward her your billing address, because I heard redevelopment board will pay for this.
I promise you did not hear that rumor.
For full disclosure tonight, I am not charging you for my time because I'm presenting a scope of service. So this, I don't charge for coming down.
I am so sorry.
But selfishly, I did want to go for it.
She could have said that right. I'm not sorry.
Could I ask one more question?
It's free. Ask all you want to.
Related to capital planning.
Town attorney question, you probably know it too easily, but so if we were to move forward with this, would it take an additional appropriation, or since it's an amendment to an existing, the way I read it, it was amending our current contract with them, is it a whole new contract?
It's a whole new scope of service. Like, you have a master services agreement with Baker Tilly, and we
Right.
can add on to that with these various scopes. So right now you have a budget scope that's signed, and we're operating under that. This would be a separate scope. If you can find a place within your budget, you don't have to do an additional appropriation, but if this is above and beyond your budget, then you may have to do an additional.
Okay,
I mean, you might
I would
have
concur
enough in
with that.
professional services to cover it. I just don't know. I haven't looked at it.
well, we pay for you under legal fees, which I think should be separated out, but that's just my opinion.
Perhaps.
So people can see so again, I want people in the audience and in the public to be able to see, if they want to access this stuff, I want them to be able to see what your town's doing, and a plan like this doesn't. So do things like having having accounts that are specific to what they're used for. It's hard to figure out what's going on if they're not. But you think there would need to be an additional appropriation?
I would concur with, I didn't catch your name.
Paige.
I'm Ashley Ulbrich, representing Chul's interest tonight. Depending on, and I apologize, I don't know the structure, but concur with Paige that you may already have the money for, depending on how much additional this would be for Baker Tilly. But if it would go above and beyond what is already in that budget, then
There's money in there now, but it's October, so.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I guess the answer is it depends. It might.
Okay.
I think until we know how much that would be, we wouldn't be able to give you but we can look into that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table, so it'd be on next meeting's agenda.
Do you want to put it on next meeting or the following meeting that way we can figure out funding and everything?
I
can do
prefer the meeting following, so I can get through an RDC meeting.
Okay, fine. So table it to what date is that? The first Tuesday in November?
Second.
No, it'll be
The second Tuesday, okay, sorry. So I'll table it to the second Tuesday of November.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Made and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
It'd actually be the third Tuesday.
Yeah.
Second meeting of November.
Less
Sorry.
than 5-0. Thank you, Paige.
Okay, thank you.
You could have really said that right up front.
Paige, on a side note, real quick, I'm actually emailing you and Mann's Consulting that works with the redevelopment.
Okay,
So-
okay, great.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, I am so sorry. I didn't know she wasn't charging us. If I'd known she wasn't charging us, if I'd known she wasn't charging us, I would have asked her more questions.
Thanks,
Thank you.
All right, so I have turned in application for street closure for Victorian Christmas, first Saturday in December, that's the 4th. I requested street closures from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The event is actually 10 to 4, but that way we have setup time and cleanup time. I turned in 2, one for streets and one for parking lots. Department heads have signed off on my street closures because High Street is open. Yay. I was out of town last weekend and I was getting blown up that High Street is open. In case there's a hiccup with High Street, I wanted to do the parking lot separate, so if later something comes up and we pull the permit for the streets. I don't think that's going to happen. They tell me we're good until April. But it's Victorian Christmas, this happens every year. Most of the time, there's much more advanced planning. But hey, the event must go on, so I'm asking for street closures. I turned in a map, and apparently I don't know where intersections are because my map doesn't line up to my language. On South Indiana, I drew the lines at Constable Antiques, but it really should be Harrison Street. So we're asking just south of Citizens Bank so that they can still access the bank parking lot to Harrison Street. Just to the east of the Something More parking lot, that's what I call it. There's an alley there, so from that alley, I didn't go all the way to Clay Street because there are some residences there and I don't want to keep people from getting to their homes. So from that alley to the east of Something More, and then on West Main to just the other side of the bank parking lot at the end of Tri-County, leaving open the BMO Harris drive-through. So hopefully we won't be affecting any residents or other businesses conducting their normal activities. We're going to do a tree lighting on the Friday night. We're not asking for street closures on Friday, just on Saturday for the annual Victorian Christmas.
Only problem of all of the permits that I see is the parking lot there at Tri-County. The town doesn't own it.
I heard I have to talk to the bank about that.
You own the taxpayers in Mooresville own the little parking lot just past the BMO Harris drive-through.
Right.
So we do own it. I don't know if that would help, or maybe you want to leave that for people coming and going.
Yeah, I think that would be good for parking. I know they did the street fairs and that the bank was accommodating to letting them use that parking lot. So I really kind of structured my parking lots just like the street fairs, the Something More, the bank, and then the government center. So I will talk to the bank about that.
And then, are you going to leave the Harrison Street parking lot open for people
For
to park?
parking.
I have some questions.
I might not have answers.
Well, another group has come in and wanted to close, or wanted to do some events. Are you combining these?
We're all together now. Yeah.
Okay.
Kim is taking some time for family in California. I'm still doing the same thing we're doing, but we're doing it with Victorian Christmas. So basically, we're going to do the tree lighting in the park. We're just merging our dates to go coincide with Victorian Christmas for the first weekend in December.
So you were doing some kind of, is it a street fair again that you were?
No, we were, in the initial process, was initially told that Victorian Christmas wasn't going to happen again this year. And so we wanted to continue on, of course, like we talked about in the previous meeting.
Yeah.
But then, now that Victorian Christmas is back on Elizabeth's taking point, we're just merging everything together, that everybody work together.
So the Friday and the Saturday are the only two December events now?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the 3rd and the 4th.
We're still talking to the parks and trying to figure out the movie and the park thing. We haven't narrowed down an exact date yet, and we're still working on the permit for the license to show the movie. But right now, we're gonna work with Victorian Christmas. I think it'd be best for the downtown businesses and everybody involved, and it'll finally pull these small businesses together to work together. So
Yeah, I think that's smart.
People are thrilled Victorian Christmas is going to happen. Facebook, we posted it, and 500 likes
Yeah.
instantly. It's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, I know. Does the park, do you have to get a park permit for the Christmas tree, or?
They tell me we need to talk to the park,
Okay.
so Mr. Duncan's going to get us on their agenda.
I'm getting on the park board meeting, I've already
Okay.
spoke with Dave. We're already starting to do a lot of coordination. We're going to get on the park board meeting for the park and we can handle all that for Friday night and Saturday.
Because I'm assuming you're going to try to have some choirs or something there, or?
That's the hope.
The
Yeah.
high school and a couple of the elementary schools, because we'd like to get the high school choir and possibly band involved.
Right.
And some of the elementary choirs, grandparents and everybody coming to support, the kids. So
Yeah,
I think it's a lot
absolutely.
better turnout if we did it that way.
Great.
On the application, everyone has signed off. Matt Dalton, Chief Dalton has put as long as the health department doesn't make changes in the COVID restrictions. And I think that's a good heads up for him. I need a motion to approve the street closing permit for Victorian Christmas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a party. Dustin Shane, 5-0.
Very much.
Thank you. There is a note on the parking lots that department heads would sign off after the meeting.
But they're not closing the streets for that.
Today is the 19th.
Hey, thanks for doing that. Thanks for putting on the event. I don't think I thanked you, so thank you.
And we'll see how it goes, okay? Everyone is very supportive.
Yeah.
I have lots of great resources, so.
Yeah.
Policy on budgeting. And I think you put that on there.
Yeah, a couple meetings ago, or maybe last meeting, Jewel had made a suggestion that I think about creating a policy on budgeting, and he's not here tonight, so I don't know if we want to table it till he's here.
I say we put it on there, see what he's done on it.
Okay.
Because she hasn't done anything on it, I bet you.
Right.
I will second Shane's motion to table.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Shane, Dustin, 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the certain personal property to be surplus. This goes back to Kevin, all of the weapons? Just two of the weapons. And what are we going to do with these weapons? Okay.
Sell them to town board members.
Twice the cost.
Just twice?
was gonna
Really?
Gotta make money somewhere.
That's what I'm saying, just twice? Gentlemen, this is Resolution 27, 2021, and this goes back to two guns, both of them Glock, and the serial numbers are as listed, and these are going to retired personnel. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Motion to approve or deny Resolution 27, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Jeff, Dustin. Jeff, you did make that, right?
I did.
Jeff,
He
Dustin.
doesn't
5-0.
want the 45, they cost too much now. Starting to come back.
I sent a
You have to buy it by the truckload.
additional appropriation. We need to get this stuff better organized.
Oh,
I need to get this stuff better organized, don't I? This is the additional appropriation ordinance.
He's going to give you a presentation on a couple of things. One is the watch guard body cameras, and the other is geo-based software, which I really know nothing about. Is there one for each? Caleb.
where are we at in this one?
Motorola. Yeah. Steve Eldroff's going to assist him also in with life. She told him also after his presentation, there's a thing that we're trying to get joined with county as far as CAD and some new things that they're doing that they just have to, it's called locution. I will let them explain it, they can explain it.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for your time. I'll go through this as quick as I can. There's a few different products I'm going to be just discussing and talking about here, that all of which we've quoted and presented to Mooresville Police Department. Let me go back. The first of which is the body cams, and we have a program that's body cam as a service, so you're not paying up front for all the hardware. It's more of a subscription, so it's a little easier to swallow up front. That comes with a bunch of software. I'll go through that real quick. One of the ones I want to highlight is our Command Central Community platform to help engage the public. And then 2 Spillman Flex software pieces, GeoBase and CAD to CAD. The body cam is the WatchGuard V300. A couple of highlights about it. It does have a 12-hour battery. It's a detachable battery, so if their shift runs long, they have a SWAT event or something like that, they can just get some extra batteries and swap that out and keep going, rather than a lot of our other body cams out there on the market. You have to redock it, charge it, and wait for it to charge before you can use it again. So this way you can just swap out that battery and keep going, as shown there. Very simple to use. There's only really this one large button to record and stop recording. There's a screen on the top here that does display information about what they're currently doing, their battery life, tagging events, that kind of thing. So it's very, very simple. As far as the software that comes with this subscription service, there's our community engagement platform. I'll talk more about that here in just a second. The Capture app is an app that the officers can put on their phones, whether that's a personal or a department-issued phone. It really doesn't matter. They can put that app on their phone and collect digital evidence, whether that's audio, video, still images. And they can also dictate their primary narratives right on that app, and then that drops right into the Spillman Flex RMS system, so they don't have to wait to go back and retype all that information. They can just dictate that, get it in there, and then go back and clean it up later.
Can you get on as far as that evidence, it doesn't stay on the phone?
Yes. Yeah, that app is what you would call containerized, so nothing actually stores on the phone's camera roll. So the idea is that phone's it can't be subpoenaed. We can prove that digital evidence is all contained within the app. So the only thing they can do with it after they capture it in the app is upload it to our digital evidence management system. It doesn't store on the device there. So it's that's how we can say that you can use it on a personal phone as well. Then in the middle there, that manage section, digital evidence management. This comes with Command Central Evidence. It's a platform to be able to manage all that video. Video is only as good as what you can do with it. So this management system gives them the ability to go in and review that video, tag it, make sure it's tied to the right incidents. With our Spillman CAD system that they already have, it'll automatically tag that video with the location of the call. That's why I'll get to GeoBase here in a second. That's why that's important. But it'll automatically tag that video with that incident, so without the officer having to go and pull this video from this system, move it over here, tie it with their law incident, their case incident. It does it automatically. They can also do things like redact video if that's necessary, blur faces, and mute audio if somebody gives a date of birth or something and they need to release that video, and you don't want to share that personal information, obviously. So that gives them the ability to redact that. It's all included there. And finally, in that streamlined section, this is all integrated with their existing RMS system, the Spillman RMS system. So it brings all that video just as part of their law incident case. So the idea is so when they're ready to hand that case over to the prosecutor, that all that information that they need is already there. They're not having to go hunt and peck for it. And it's very easy for them to review it and make sure they have everything before they hand it over to the prosecutor. And then finally, the judicial share part gives us an electronic sharing capability so they can easily share that out to the prosecutor. So there's that consolidated record view, which is what brings us all together along with their Spillman RMS system. So their existing system today that's just leverages their investment they already have, builds onto it, and it brings all that information into this cloud-based view to where they can review all that Spillman case information and the body cam video all together, and any other video that they collect. I'm going to jump here. So we have, as part of this, is our cityprotect.com website. So you can go. That's our public web-facing website. You can go there and view basically a pin map of crimes that happen throughout the country. So with this, you would be able to get that for the city of Mooresville. So have all the crime types, they'd be able to just display that on a public-facing crime map. It's a great community tool. The nice thing about it is the citizens can go on there and see what's going on in their neighborhood. Beyond that, if they happen to know something about that incident, maybe it was a vandalism or something, and they saw who did it, they can easily go on here and submit a tip that goes right to the police department about that case. And all that information that comes is all logged on the back end and tied as part of the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing you also told me about, that the QR code, like if you're a detective investigating something where they want to put it to a tip, they want to relate that tip to that case, they can make a QR code, and then they can give that, and then just scan it, and you go ahead and explain.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's perfect. It's a great feature of the community engagement tool. The whole idea with this tool is to better work with the community, and there's lots of times we might need that. For example, this Victorian Christmas, you could certainly do that, where you could create a QR code, and on any flyers that you have downtown, you could create a way to anonymously send tips based on that event, or if it's just a general for the city, they can easily just scan that QR code and submit a tip to the city through that QR code. Likewise, if you have a citizen that captured a cell phone video or a picture, something that you need to collect that's part of an incident, part of a case, the police department can just go create a QR code that's tied to that, send that to them, or just send them an email link, either one, and that gives the ability for the citizen to upload that video or picture to the police department. So historically what's been happening is a lot of times you have to send them out there with a flash drive, so an officer is taking his time to go out there, collect that evidence. This way you can do that all electronically. Saves time. You're not wasting mileage going back and forth. And again, that's all logged on the back end where that came from. That chain of custody is all kept in place from the moment that video or digital evidence is captured.
Could I ask you a question right there before I forget it? How would that affect, how could that feature be used with a domestic violence situation?
Could
it be, or is it not even a thing?
It certainly could. So it's a anonymous tip line. So this gets you an agency page, but we developed it as a web page, but it's optimized for a phone or a device.
Right.
So they could send in a tip through that pretty discreetly, and that would go to the police department and let them know something's happening. I wouldn't say that would replace a 911 call, though.
Right, obviously, but
yeah. But they could certainly anonymously send information that way, or whoever, if you knew something else was going on. It can be anonymous or named, either way. You could decide. But when that tip comes in, there's a tip manager on the police department side where they can chat back and forth with whoever that tipster is. So if it is an anonymous thing and they're trying to keep anonymous, there's still that interaction back and forth between the police department to gather more information. Is that?
yeah.
Okay. And with this agency page, it does give the police department basically one page to drive the community to, and you can pull in your Facebook page, your Twitter feed, all that onto this one page. But it basically gives the citizens a menu that says, I want to, and a drop-down list of explore the crime map, submit a tip, submit a non-emergency call for service, that sort of thing. So if they saw some vandalism or had a bike stolen, rather than going down to the police department lobby, filling out paperwork, they can do that here from the web. I already talked about the digital evidence collection. And like I said, non-emergency reports. they can certainly do that from this platform as well. So saving dispatcher time, so that way they're not calling into lines and tying up phone lines for something that's not critical. I mean, drive the public to this and still be able to get that interaction with the officer when it's not an emergency. Anonymous tipping, I discussed that, and public-facing crime map is such a great tool for the citizens to go in and see what's going on.
Is that real time?
It is.
I know the county north of us, they have one, but they're not on Spillman. They're on a different,
You talking about Marion County?
Hendricks County. Because they have something where you can go on.
I know the Antail's got something similar to that, I don't know if they're on Spillman.
Yeah.
I think they're all Spillman.
Indianapolis Metro PD uses this exact same tool, and you can decide how frequently you want to update it. So that's all driven settings on the agency side.
So it's not, hey, look, there's a fire truck there, go in and see. Okay.
No, not real time. This would be more often than not. It's a daily upload or somewhere in that range.
The agency can dictate that, so I think that the soonest is like a couple of hours, you can do it as much as, a day behind, a couple days behind.
This is report-based, not active can occur.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you make a report and an incident has occurred, it will show here.
Yes.
We recorded it. It's not a live CAD feed. Now, their Cadillac software, like they got up in Indianapolis, was Premier One.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that does have visibility for real-time CAD space.
Another great tool that comes with this is camera registration. So if citizens have a Ring doorbell camera or their own security system, and they want to let the police department know, hey, I have this camera and my camera faces this direction. This gives an easy way for citizens and businesses to register their cameras with the police department. That way, when something happens in that neighborhood or in that area of the city, the police department doesn't have to go canvass the neighborhood and ask, did you see anything? I mean, this way they can just look at that and they can see where cameras might have been and then directly go to those individuals and see if they, by chance, captured anything on that video feed. So that's Command Central Community. Any questions on Community? Like I said, that all comes with the subscription with the body cam. It's just part of the software. That's part of it.
I do have a question on the community portion of it. Would this be able to interface, like could we put the map for the community on our website to where they can gain access to it?
Yeah, so what you would do is link cityprotect.com to your website, and it would drop right into your city area. Yeah. So yes, you can do that, and you can load your GIS layers onto that map as well. So if you wanted to show different parts of the city, you can do that. Yeah.
I have a question on the unit. Would it be on when the officer goes on? Is he responsible for turning on, or is it incident activated, or?
There's a couple ways you can do that. Yes, they would be responsible for turning it on. There's a couple ways you can trigger this to turn it on. One, just click that button real quick. The other way is if you hit the emergency button on their Motorola radio, that will trigger it as well.
Things can get kind of tense sometime, and
yes, they can. So if the officer forgets to turn it on, we are automatically buffering a couple minutes back. So it's so if I click it right now, I can still go back 2 minutes and see that video. But beyond that, there is a way we have a patented technology in this called record after the fact. So this has 128 gigs of storage on it, which is enough to record roughly 2 or 3 shifts back. So there is a way to go back and capture that video, even if this wasn't activated,
Okay.
as long as it's turned on. Yeah.
Are you recording this right now?
No. Well, technically yes, but I'm not.
Let's see.
That's dictated by setting. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, by setting, and that feature obviously is very permission driven and very restricted as to who can access that video. So that would be a policy-driven thing with the police department. So whoever's video it is, they would know and the chief would know, and you guys would decide whoever's gonna be able to access that video. It's meant to be a protection, not a, hey, I wanna snoop in and see what you were doing all day. That's not the purpose of it. So it's very policy-driven, and the way you have to retrieve it is, kind of drives that as well. Yeah. It's a good question. Any other questions about the body cams?
People who sign up for this do so voluntarily. It's not, they have to initiate that process. As far as signing their own cameras at their homes and things, businesses and homes.
Signing up for the camera registration?
Yeah.
Yes, that's all completely voluntary.
If they do that, can the department look into their camera anytime they want?
No, it's simply a knowledge of that there's a camera there. They can't actually access and get feeds.
Okay.
There are ways we can do that, but not in this. This is just simply.
The subpoena.
This is just simply knowing that the camera's there.
Part of this is starting to get a little scary to me a little bit.
We're not
right now.
Yeah, we're not getting into the cameras and seeing what's going on. They're just knowing that it's there.
Like a permit almost.
Yeah.
Like a permit with an alarm system. We know they have an alarm.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's simply to save the police department time. So if they're investigating an incident and they need to find out if anybody caught it, this makes it easier to go and see it. Yeah, they have a camera that faces this direction. This business they have a camera over back in this parking lot. Let's see if they got anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good question. Anything else on the body cam?
Steve, did you have more?
Well, I think when you're registering your cameras, it would be a little bit like if Matt's doing a premise inspection or JD is, they'll know where certain things are on your premise. And if the public wants to say, hey, I've got a camera at 600 Spring Mill Drive, and we have an incident, our detectives know exactly who to call, the officers know who to go talk to. And those folks, they can download it to us, they can send it to us if they want. We contact, we're out of it. It's entirely between the citizen doing the reporting and sending that information to us. Just as if we went out to their house, took a USB and did it.
Save a lot of footwork if they have to go searching for people that have cameras.
You'll have that information, the detectives, road officers, communications will have that location information.
Yeah.
Instead of having to send the guys out, where's the CCTV here? Well, who does that belong to? We'll know, and it's voluntary. So if they don't want to tell us, they don't have to.
Yeah. The body cam comes in, it's a 5-year subscription. With that, you get all the hardware that they need to attach it. They get their choice of amount to attach to the uniform. At year 3, they get a refresh of whatever the latest body cam is that we have. So it's a no-fault warranty as well, so if something breaks, we just ask to give us whatever parts you have left of it, and we'll give you a brand new one, as well as unlimited storage, unlimited cloud storage. So all the video they need to capture, it's all included.
A police commissioner here.
So just on the video editing or the blurring and the redacting, can they do anything else with editing the video? Can they cut it or splice it? Does it keep the original? Like, what are you allowed to do?
Yeah, we always maintain the original. That never gets touched. So when you're doing a redaction project, it spins off and just copies that video. And you can mute audio, you can blur, you can do a reverse blur, so you can just have the face of the person, and everything else blurred. You can do black boxes around them if you want. There's several different options there to do that. I don't believe you can splice video though. It maintains the whole video. It's just blurred objects and that's what we're going to do. Any questions on the body cams? If not, I'll move on to GeoBase. Okay. GeoBase is another module that we have quoted. Public safety software is increasingly becoming more and more map-centric. It's just the way the world is, the way life is everything is based on a map. So I mentioned earlier that with the CAD call, obviously when that CAD call comes in, we know the address, location, we know the time that call came in. Same with video, we know the time and location of that video. So where we can marry those two together, we do, making it so the officer doesn't have to go and go find that video, tag it to the case, and have that show up in his incident. It does it all in the system automatically. So that's one of the benefits of having the GeoBase. The GeoBase is a module that would overlay on top of their existing Spillman RMS system, and it would make it so when somebody calls into dispatch, rather than free typing in an address, for example, 3rd Street, maybe one dispatcher puts in 3RD, the other one types out THIRD. In the system now, that's now 2 addresses. GeoBase makes it so you can't do that. It makes it so there's a pick list. It makes sure there's a consistency with the addressing. For statistical purposes, that's a big deal, so you can easily go back and see what happened at specific addresses. And for response for officers when they're going out to an address, they quickly are able to see, and dispatchers as well are able to see that address history and have confidence that that's the right address and this is what's happened in the past, that maybe they have, whatever incidents in the past that the officer might need to know to better approach that situation. And specifically to the deployment here, Morgan County already has a GIS server and has invested heavily in the GIS data that's on that server. So this would be taking a copy of their GIS data that they've produced and putting it on your own server here at Mooresville and utilizing that same data. So, any questions on GeoBase? Okay. Anything else you want to add?
NIBRS, the new incident-based reporting.
That's true.
Requires GeoBase also. Almost every module in Spillman, 20 years ago, it was just typing stuff in a file. This GeoBase ties everything together, every run, every report, every dispatch, everything, locations for incidences that have occurred where you're doing crime reports that are required by the state and federal government. This is the key. And I think when you quoted us, our new server a year or so ago, this functionality was built into the size of the server.
Yeah.
We didn't do it at the time because it wasn't necessary for everything we needed. It is now necessary for what we have. And the server and everything, we have software and all that, we predicted that this would be coming down the road.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. That's a good point. Okay. The final one I wanted to talk about is CAD to CAD. This is one that Johnson County and Morgan County are already in process of setting up with each other, and then they want to bring Mooresville PD into the mix of that as well. What CAD to CAD does is enables, they're all on the same Flex CAD system, but they're each on their own individual server, and each take calls individually, right? But sometimes there's calls that come in it might be for another dispatch center. So this speeds up the process of moving that call to the other system, as well as giving Mooresville, Morgan County, and Johnson County the ability to see what units might be available at that department so they can more quickly get resources to that call and get it to the appropriate place that it needs to be. Any questions on CAD to CAD?
I'd like to keep going and see I guess, expand on that a little bit with this new locution that they're doing. And how CAD to CAD would benefit us.
Okay, CAD to CAD is the ability, tell me if I'm not saying this.
Sure.
Is the ability for us, if we get a run, take it, shove it to the other agency. So they can have that data and do it.
Yeah.
They can do the same for us. It reduces call transfer loads in some cases, especially with fire and EMS runs. As the fire department here has dual response with numerous agencies, mutual aid agreements. And with the new locution system that's going on online at the county, then that requires information exchange from us here. It also, same with Johnson County, Bargersville runs into here, Hendricks County into us, also with that information. So it's providing us the information simultaneously with everybody else that gets this data on this CAD to CAD. If one system, if one location fails, the other site can fully pick up the redundancy. So it integrates all of this together and eliminates any miscommunications and right now we create triple redundancy with us, Johnson, as far as necessary.
Yeah, you brought up an important point with this. So it does take into account response plans and recommended units. What that means, for example, with the example of the fire department, if you have a shared response plan to a certain type of incident, and you're utilizing your resources and you're utilizing, maybe it's Morgan County, maybe it's even Johnson County resources, Mooresville Dispatch will be able to see that and see if they're available units or not. And if they're not, obviously you're not going to dispatch them. You would find another resource, but that way it saves time and you're not inadvertently dispatching somebody that's not available. Yeah. Any questions on that? Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Well, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. How much is it?
I didn't bring the quotes out. So do you have them?
I had two of them.
I can give you roughly what they were. I don't have the exact number.
Like this one?
Yeah, so that's the body cam subscription.
Okay, you've got a lot of numbers, and they're big numbers here.
We're just going with the body cameras, not the in-car cameras.
Okay.
We're going away with the in-car cameras?
No, they have a compatibility. They have their own in-car cameras that pretty much, they work jointly, the body cameras and their in-car cameras, but we currently have our own in-car cameras right now that we're doing.
You're going to be doing away with?
It just depends upon how good the body cameras are. And can you ask me, answer a question, with the body cameras and the GeoBase, would we be able to track GPS-wise the officer that way?
Not in a live
sense?
Not in a live sense, not with this version today.
Okay.
That's, not today.
The AVL would show you where the unit is.
Yes, the AVL and the mapping, the GeoBase. Yeah, through.
Shows you where the vehicles are.
Yeah, through mobile AVL, that's how you would see where that unit is out in the field.
Here's this book right here, Caleb, and you can tell me which one we were looking at, which was, the first one was this one here, and then this, I think this was the actual, just with the body camera, correct?
Yes. Yep. So the body cam, there was a total 5-year price. Let's see. So a total of 64. So basically, break that down over 5 years. So the due now is $14,118, and then the annual invoice after that is $13,722.
So break this down here. $64,680, is that just hardware?
It is hardware, software. It's the whole subscription.
Okay, 3,600 down here. What is it? What is that? Is that on top of this?
It is. So that 3,600. There are 8 bay. So this is 2 8-bay transfer stations. So docking stations when they come into the station after shift, dock this into this 8-bay charger, and then that uploads out all the video that they capture to the system. So that's 2 of those, yeah.
Do you have that one there?
Yes.
Okay. If we said tonight, Shane is making a donation for.
You get ridiculed for doing it.
Shane's making a donation to buy these. How much? What are these prices? There's different prices. 69.
Thanks, man.
06. Is that everything? Is that all in? And then is there a annual subscription that we're going to buy?
So, on this box, so I apologize, my counterpart put this together, so let me just make sure I have this right. So what he's done here is there's a couple of items that are direct purchase items that are not part of the subscription, which is minimal, $396. So he's just priced that a little differently depending on if you want to just roll that into the annual
Okay.
invoice, or if
Okay.
you want to pay that directly up front.
Okay.
So that's what that deferred box is, and the due now. But that top one, the due now is, so your first year all in is 14,118, and then years 2, 3, 4, and 5 are 13,722, for a total of 69,006.
Is that everything that you discussed this evening?
That's everything except for GeoBase and CAD to CAD. Those two were separate.
Okay.
Was the county gonna pay CAD to CAD or no?
Yeah, I was gonna go over that a little bit. CAD to
Okay.
CAD, the county is willing to pick up the tab for that and split the cost of, I guess, for lack of a better term, a hard line from.
The county has agreed, Judge Messmer and the commissioners have agreed to pay for the installation of a fiber optics connection between the Mooresville Comm Center and the server at Martinsville up on the hill. The quote that we got from PDS Wireless is the only one that has already got the connectivity from here to Martinsville. They're the ones that have done it from Martinsville to Johnson County. The installation costs are $3,800, the county will pay that. The monthly fiber connection is $600. The county will split that $600 a month with the town of Mooresville. In other words, we're going to be paying $300 a month for the CAD to CAD and the GeoBase layers and maintenance of the GeoBase. That was the result of the meeting we had back in July. County has agreed to that. Now, with the CAD to CAD, the only thing we'll have is, the town will have, is an annual maintenance agreement with Spellman. But the initial cost of the software, what is it, 10.5 or what, I can't remember what the name was. The same agreement been given to us by Morgan County that's been given to Johnson County. I guess they're also keeping it to Barkersville now. Barkersville is responsible for theirs. So we have the same. My understanding, they're using 911 baselines for that, which we wouldn't get otherwise except through this deal.
We just went through something where we had, with our dispatch center, that we're no longer able to keep we just made an improvement in our dispatch center, and I don't remember exactly what that was, but it was a product that we had that they were no longer servicing, and that was through Motorola also. Is that correct?
We did we did the maintenance agreement upgrade.
Yes.
We changed the maintenance agreement upgrade, 2 or 3 months ago. Last Monday, Motorola came into the comm center. They inventoried all of our equipment. They're in the process of getting me a list and the chief of what hardware and software they're going to be upgrading. So that's in the process also. The dispatch consoles, the radio equipment, the transmission status, everything is going to be included in that. Now that's radio Motorola, not.
Okay, that's what I was worried about. Is this something that halfway through the contract we're going to be out of date and having to spend a bunch of?
This service, if I remember you correctly, and I don't want to jump on your bandwagon here, but I've known you 20 years. This is a service. You get the cameras, you get all the software that attends with it. You pay for that. And it's like leasing for another term. It's yours equipment. They upgrade it. They maintain it during the period of the 5-year agreement. At the end of the 5-year agreement, then we renegotiate for another 5 years. But instead of paying a hard one-time cost, this is continually updating, replacing. It's Wi-Fi's that we use for our MDCs with Verizon. It breaks, send it in, we get one back 24 hours later. Okay, we're not having to send it off to Panasonic, sit for 2 weeks or whatever. It's usually, 2 business day turnaround, most.
Yeah,
So that's the same with these, those cameras in that 5-year period, one gets broken, one gets dropped, you guys just replace it.
Yes.
Yes, that's all part of that.
Yep, no fault warranty. So, like it's all we ask is whatever pieces you have left of this, you give back to us, but we don't require the whole thing.
How many units are?
There are 22. Yeah.
Does that outfit everybody?
Well, actually, several officers can use these different cameras based upon, like if we wanted to, for like administration, reserves, we could rotate a couple of cameras for that. But we could keep the ones for like the patrol officers, we could keep them dedicated just to the patrol officers. That would be 18 cameras.
So is everybody going to be issued their own camera?
Probably not issue their own camera. We would dedicate like 18 of those to the actual patrol officers, and then those.
So when you go to work, you got to go in and pick a camera up?
Yeah.
It's charged
Your
down.
camera's going to be in their dock charging.
On the off duty, and you go in.
You're not
the
going to have a
next day,
charger at home.
Pick up another camera.
Correct, Caleb?
You could if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For additional charge.
No, that cradle comes with it, doesn't it?
Okay.
No, you're right. Additional charge.
It comes with the in-car camera video.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So they could have their other cradle that they just USB dock it.
And we could get a quote for that, if the council would request that. About $100 a piece.
Car mounts.
For a home docking station for the 18 patrol officers.
Yeah, that'd be a one-time
Yeah.
expense.
Would they then use their home internet to sync it?
They
Could.
could if they wanted to or needed to.
How much storage is on a unit? How much, I mean, can you,
128 gigs.
which would be equivalent to how many shifts?
So, video, if you record at 720p, which is standard, you don't want it too great, right, to where it's, Monday morning quarterback, but
Right.
you want it good enough where you can see stuff. So if you recorded that, it's about 2 hours per gig, 2 gigs per hour. So just like your computer, there's some operating stuff and stuff that runs on there, right? So you don't have 128 gigs of actual storage. Think of it about 100, so you can keep about 50 hours of video on the device. Now, part of that is, we talked about the record after the fact. So that's kind of like your DVR at home, right? That's kind of always continuously running, and you can rewind back. So any videos that you take kind of eats into that record after the fact buffer. But you can fit about 45 to 50 hours of video on the device.
Does it automatically start downloading once it hits a Wi-Fi or hits an internet connection? Is that what it does?
So once you dock it.
So it's got to be at a docking station to download it, okay.
So you've got them coming in the morning, or in at the beginning of the shift, and then coming back in at the end of the shift to turn it back in.
And like, I didn't even think about that till Jeff brought that up. I mean, it would probably be good to have a home docking station, so that way the patrol officer, as soon as he marks on duty, he's got it.
But then is there an issue on the internet connection that they have there, or?
The way we've built our dock is all upload securely, so whenever it has access, so whenever you plug this little cradle device into USB port, it finds the internet and securely uploads that, just all in the background. It doesn't, so it is going to use the officer's internet, so if they.
No matter where it's sitting, it's gonna.
It doesn't matter, yeah, it's going to use their internet.
Could it be just charging only when it's at home?
It could, yes.
So they don't have to download at home. They can wait to come into the office because it's got 40 plus hours of data it can have, so.
Yeah, yep. And it does offload pretty quickly with these 8-bay devices, so.
Now, the data on there and everything, the transfer is all CJIS compliant, correct?
Yes.
Meets the federal requirements for security on all the transfer, storage, and everything else.
Yeah, all this video would be stored in the Microsoft Government Azure cloud. So you're not eating up server space at the police department. It's all in the government cloud. So it's all CJIS protected.
Is that a monthly fee also, or is that?
No, that's all built in.
What happens at the end of it if we say we don't like WatchGuard, we want a different brand, and we get away from you? Can we get that data back from you?
Yes, absolutely. We provide you a download of the video with all the metadata behind the video as well, so you can do whatever you need to do with that. Transfer it to another system. Hopefully you'll never do that, but.
Well,
but yes, you can.
We've seen it before.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Kevin, do you have anything to add?
I would only request, if this is something that the council is interested in, I'm definitely interested, the software alone is worth the money of the subscription fee. I mean, in my opinion, would you not say? Because, I mean, to sell that just by itself.
Yeah, if you recall, we've given Mooresville a quote for Community Connect. Gosh, it's probably 3 years ago.
Yep.
We have since bundled that into this video as a subscription service, so that quote essentially goes away, and it's all just built in as part of this. So I can't remember what that quote was. It's been too long, but yeah.
But that was when we were looking at something real time. Just
that one, it basically did the same thing. It would allow you to interact with the citizens, allow them to do non-emergency calls for service. Yeah.
Just the cameras were not a part of that program back then.
Yeah.
I'm basically asking permission whether we want to pursue this anymore as far as the cameras and the GeoBase, the CAD to CADs for a later discussion. We're still trying to hammer out stuff with county to see what they are going to officially do and then bring it to you. Then you guys make a decision if we even want to do that or not.
the GeoBase, do we have to have the fiber optic to the county? To do the GeoBase?
You mean for the CAD to CAD?
No, for the GeoBase, because he said.
No, GeoBase is specific to our server. If we want CAD to CAD and updates via internet connection, then the fiber would need to be there. Fiber gives us the real-time CAD to CAD information, but GeoBase itself just sits on our server.
Okay.
Would the fiber do other things for us other than just this in the future?
It'd give us full access to everything the county has. The county, everything the county will share with us, everything that we wish to share with them and the other agencies and Johnson County, jail information. The prosecutor is looking at some spillman inference. I've already set up a deal for the prosecutor's office to get all of our cases, probable cause, attachments now, video files, everything else, so the prosecutor's screening staff can look at them, make the decision, file the paperwork, so the officers don't have to fax them down, they'll go down. This basically just animates all of that, and instead of a VPN connection, has a dedicated secure connection.
Now, I will say this because I don't want it to come back later. The state has said something about grants for body cams, but nothing has came out. I don't know if you've seen anything, Jeff. Whenever they passed the new law about body cameras, they had hinted at grants coming out, but I've checked and checked and checked, and so far, there's none that have came out.
And Caleb, Motorola's got staff to help us find grant money to reimburse this, do they not?
Yes, we do. My understanding with the state, I don't know if I should say this or not, but my understanding is that they came just shy of mandating body cams. That way they don't have to fund them. So I don't know what.
I've seen no grant funding for body cameras in my search in the last couple of months.
Yeah. I would love to see it, but I haven't seen it yet either.
You have a SOP in the
I think currently our body cam is a directive. We would have to upgrade it to an SOP.
That's an administrative decision there. Legal.
Questions or comments?
I would just say I don't have the financial documents, and it sounds like you have.
That you were given to him last.
Right, but I don't have them here. And it sounds like there may be a question as to whether you want to add another piece to this, which is the docking stations at home.
That is a possibility. We could get a quote and I could send that to all of you.
And we don't have that currently. I mean, you can verbally probably tell us, but we don't. So, and I would like a chance to sit down with you and Steve and just discuss the bird's eye view, why you think it's all needed, and
I guess then tonight is just your blessing to proceed with this if you're interested in this. I definitely am.
I think he just said that he wants a little more information.
Exactly.
Wants to get that more into, so I would assume that you probably want to get the docking stations. Shane is our IT guy as far as the liaison, and he's going to talk to PDS and see if he can negotiate that price down.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions?
I don't. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Kevin, did you have anything else? We're at department heads.
You know, man, if we're gonna do it, everybody needs it.
I plan on waiting until I talk to Aaron again for the vehicle stuff, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please.
I have a couple things here. This is a resolution for some surplus equipment that I, with your permission, I'd like to donate to Monrovia PD. This is stuff off of one of our older vehicles that we cannot use anymore.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did I give you one also?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Basically, it's a light bar, an interior console, a center console, and it's a very basic center console. There's nothing in it. It's just a box, siren box, and visor lights. These all came off, I believe, after either a 2014 or a 2013 vehicle.
Who prepared this document?
Huh?
Did Beth prepare?
Beth did prepare this for me.
Comments or questions? Do we want to help Monrovia? Fair question, I think. Do we have a resolution? What is our next resolution? Be Resolution 28, 2021. Comments or questions?
do you know what this stuff could be worth, or it says less than 5,000 here?
It's probably less than 1,000. The visor lights are very old. The siren box is very old. The center console is probably less than $50. It's just basically an empty box. I think it actually used to be mounted in a Crown Victoria.
Oh.
So it's pretty old.
Okay.
That may have been your first one, Jeffrey.
Could have been. Mine was a 91 Ford LTD.
Comments or questions?
I think it's a good thing if somebody can get some use out of them.
Need a motion to either approve or table.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve Resolution 28, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Jeff Gregg, 5-0.
The next thing I have is just a quote from Bond Lick Kennels. At the request of Councilman Cook, I did contact Mike Deal. Sorry, I think I have it for you. And we were looking for a fully funded dog or a fully trained dog, and Mike Deal does not do that, but he recommended this kennel. I have talked to them. They gave me a quote. I've talked to 2 other kennels locally that have not even called me back or emailed me back, so I'm still trying to get those, but this should give you a rough estimate of what the cost of getting a dog and training the handler, because it breaks it down by the dog, the training, and then, of course, the housing for 6 weeks course is there. And that's just for your perusal. Do you have any questions on that?
Is this the same kennel that used to be Von Licklider?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Did you say the county has dogs from this place? Did you tell me that, or it was?
No, the Martinsville Police Department has their dogs from Rhode Island, and I actually talked to that individual, Reagan's his name. They are getting away from fully trained dogs also. They have started doing partially trained dogs, and then they come back and do their local training through a local trainer, and he uses Mike, and I can't remember his last name, out of Bedford.
So this is for a narcotic dog? What's dual purpose mean?
Dual purpose is aggression, patrol, track, and narcotics.
And this estimate, or this quote is for $17,650 plus $1,864.
The whole package. The train, the housing of the trainer when he's there with the dog.
Dustin, are you familiar with this kennel or no?
Yeah, I just pulled up where they had to pay 1.3 million in the federal lawsuit that they settled. That's how I know. Their dogs are incredible. They just got into some money trouble with the federal government. So quality, you're getting an absolute Rolls Royce of a dog. I just knew that they got in some trouble, but it's nothing against their quality of products.
Sure.
I could not afford that place. I looked at them.
I think we need to do a little more research on this.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table for further research on this.
I'll second Jeff's motion to table.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, Dustin, 5-0. Done? Finished? Completed? Now, not everybody at once, any other department heads?
So you guys have the unlimited duty policy that I want to get implemented. And with you guys being our safety board for the fire department, all of our policies that we implement has to come in front of you. While going through some of our policies and guidelines, that I noticed that we did not have a limited policy. I thought I'd read one somewhere, and I believe it's in the new town handbook policy that's been tabled. So with this one being said, I looked at Wayne Townships, Pittsburgh's, Plainfield's, actually Mooresville Police Departments, and then kind of drafted this one for the Mooresville Fire Department. This will allow our guys to basically come to duty when they are lightly injured and still be able to maintain working and not use all their sick time or vacation time while they're off with their injury.
And this has been run through legal counsel, correct?
I'm sorry?
You have run this past legal counsel?
I have not. It was one of those things that I ran it through, looked at it, and then basically had only enough time to get it in front of you guys to kind of read and look at it. I have no problem going in front of legal counsel with that. My next thing on the agenda was that I want to have your blessing to work with legal counsel and get our SOGs and SOPs all updated. Some of the things that I was looking at, For example, of our harassment policy, some of the things are kind of outdated, so I want to basically get some of our policies up to date with state statutes and stuff like that for our personnel.
Need a motion to request a letter of engagement and possible pricing from legal counsel on updating the SOGs and SOPs of the fire department.
Make a motion to approve the request to seek a quote for replacing all of our SOPs and SOGs at the fire department.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
That's from Greg, 5-0. I would like to see the light duty waiver to go to legal counsel. I don't know that we.
Did it go?
Agreed.
It did not. Like I said, it went, I would assume it went with another fire department since it was actually, I think this one was actually Pittsburgh's fire department.
Okay.
Is this light duty policy anything pressing right now with what we have going on, or?
I do have one person that is on light duty, but I've basically took precedence from previous past fire chiefs and allowed him to basically work, and he's basically just working, doing odd jobs as administration or around the firehouse, keeping things taken care of.
And that's how I always understood it, as the department had that authority to put somebody on light duty. I didn't know I had that's something in writing, but.
I looked, I even talked to Diane, I could have swore that we had one in our town policy. I looked, she looked, we couldn't find it. JD, my division chief, looked, and then I found it in the town's policy, the new town policy that's been tabled. It is sitting in there.
Let's get their advice on this. And like you said, I've always just thought it was a department head, and I thought they always worked together, because sometimes I think we've had firefighters that work dispatch. So I thought that they always kind of work together, and I don't know if this gives him more or less leeway.
Okay. So the employee that's on light duty right now, he stays on light duty? I mean, we still take care of him that way?
That's my intention. I just don't want to get somebody, I just want to get ours updated.
That's all I want to make sure,
that
the
we're
employee's
not
taken care of.
I'm assuming business as usual, and this is only to improve or increase the.
Correct. I just don't want to get anybody in trouble with the town or the department. So that's why I want to implement a policy. Other than that, I have nothing further.
I think it was just a consensus. I mean, is that all right? Just a consensus
Yeah,
to send that?
For sure.
Hi, Dave.
Hello. Okay, so at the last town council meeting, I had some more homework to do for purchasing a street sweeper. As you all know, our 20-year-old street sweeper has been decommissioned. So working with a couple of equipment companies, we are able to use what's called a source well bidding procedure. Kyle with Brown Equipment, he could probably get to the details, but in a nutshell, other municipalities throughout the country has put together bid specifications and bid out pieces of equipment to get the best deal for municipalities. Talking with the guys at the street department and looking at each street sweeper, we've decided that we want to go with the sweeper from Brown Equipment, if the council so chooses. It is the least expensive of the two. And with the source well, we don't have to write specs. It's all been taken care of, and the bidding has been done. So, have any questions?
Does that meet legal requirements for purchases over $75,000?
I believe so. I haven't seen the actual
Dave, what is the truck that you're needing?
The street sweeper that we need is, it's a Model M3 street sweeper. The list cost is $225,782. Kyle with Brown Equipment has agreed to waive his commission, bringing the price down. I'm just kidding, but it brings the price down.
I was looking behind you.
Only if I could have gone first.
You're not getting paid. Well,
But with our trade-in price of our old street sweeper, they're giving us $15,000 for that. It brings the cost down to $199,000 even.
What's the make and model you're looking at, or you have that handy or no?
The new Global M3.
Oh, okay, it is. Okay, it's on the other bank one. Okay.
Is it a vac too, or just?
Global M3?
sweeps, or
Okay.
It's mechanical sweeper, just
Okay.
sweeper, it's not a vacuum.
not a vac or nothing?
Is it the same size as the one we have, or similar?
It's very, very close. I think it might be a foot wider sweep pattern. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
and bigger capacity, your hopper's bigger, your 5.5 cubic yards compared to 3.5 cubic yards, so you can.
Pretty good size.
A lot tighter turning.
and by our agreement with our Rule 13, we will sweep all the streets in town once a year, keep the heavies and floatables out of our creeks and tributaries, correct?
That's correct.
And then we also sweep once a week in the downtown area.
Correct, we sweep every Monday morning and then the entire town once a year.
Will Brown Equipment rent us one once a week?
Rent us one once a week? We talked about that, it's pretty salty, isn't it? Rental?
Yeah, it is.
They'll bring us back our old Elgin.
Rentals don't tend to be treated very well. Not saying that you guys would, but especially a street sweeper that eats itself up the day it starts working.
It's the term, grab it like you're ready.
What is the useful life of a street sweeper typically?
Not 20 years. You guys have got a lot of life out of yours. Typically 7 to 10 years, to the point where it starts being more headaches and costs more to maintain than it's really worth. Some communities go 5 years. Franklin is kind of on a 5-year rotation, but they're every day, 6 to 8 hours a day out running it. So, depending on how you use it, how you maintain it, cleaning and greasing are the two main things, and from the look of the 20-year-old sweeper, they do a really good job of cleaning and greasing it.
I'd say they'd had to get that long out of it, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, we don't see 20-year sweepers hardly ever, especially worth anything to give a trade-in on, so compliments to the guys there for taking good care of it, but 20 years is a long time. We were just reading emails from 2014 when we started quoting these, because we knew we were over that 10-year.
Which were they in 2014?
They were 185,000, which I just looked at, so shockingly not as high as.
Jeff, you could have bought that.
Right. Right.
And I apologize, is this and do not know where you are in this process, but is this a contract you're already in with this company?
Yeah, we are in Sourcewell, and the town of Mooresville is actually on Sourcewell, so I don't know if somebody signed up for it and not used it, or if you signed up for it and used it before, but Sourcewell is a government agency.
Right.
Just like we are. So you can buy paper clips or printing paper up to sweepers and heavy equipment like you guys do, so.
I am familiar with that, I just didn't know whether or not.
We are, I have the Sourcewell pricing and stuff like that, if you'd like to see that, I made some more copies if you want that.
Sure, and that does change my analysis. You normally bid, or items over 150,000 would need to be bid, but I am familiar with this situation.
It is a bid, it's just been done before.
Correct.
That's the Brown Equipment quote on the top. The next page is the quote from Global, with their contract numbers of pricing. I think the pricing of this is like $237, $225 is the contract pricing in the Brown Equipment.
Dave's a good negotiator, so that's where we're down to the 214.
And I am familiar with one of these that was in Indiana, based in Indiana. So I apologize,
It's okay, no problem.
I'm not, I would have to look into whether or not this would apply to a Minnesota contract.
Okay.
Because it looks like this is based out of, like it was bid in Minnesota, correct?
Sourcewell is based, it's a Minnesota entity, yeah.
Sure.
Yep. And those, I think that is in Indiana.
It provides the guidelines that we would be able to do. I mean, we very well may be able to.
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
Do you have that on your lot, or is it one you have to get?
We have it on the lot, it's the only one we have on our lot.
And I can tell that you need the street sweeper sooner than later. Unfortunately, just with this information tonight, I would not be able to give a proper analysis if it needed to be bid or not.
What is your stance on, because I know you really want that 20-year-old sweeper at trade-in. That's the only reason you're here.
Yes.
What is your stance on this? We are at one disadvantage as far as our timing on our meetings. Our next meeting will be November 2nd, before we can make a decision based on legal counsel.
Sure.
The only other thing that we could possibly do is make a decision based on an approval from legal counsel. But you could share the approval individually, right?
Among you.
Yeah.
Or before a public meeting, is that what you're saying?
I don't know that we can. That's what I was trying to figure out.
I would not be comfortable with that.
Okay.
Would you,
I'd be happy to have our decision to you before the next meeting. Well before the next meeting.
gentlemen, we need a sweeper.
We could schedule a special meeting, couldn't we?
We could do that. We could ask you if based on if legal counsel says that this is an acceptable bid and we don't have to go to bid, because if we have to go to bid, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Based on that, do we want to purchase a street sweeper? That's the question. If she says it is, then we can say, can you hold it for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Demonstrate it to us for 2 weeks.
Demo it. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Now, is this the same one that you demoed? I didn't realize it went back 14 years. Is this the same system? Is it going to have a separate engine that is a Tier 5 compliant, blah, blah, blah?
Tier 4, it's a different engine
Okay.
as far as being Tier 4 compliant, yeah. But it's a Cummins engine, a Tier 4.
But is it a separate power unit from the engine, from the chassis?
There is no chassis. This is much like the one you have. We take an engine and we build the frame around it. So we don't buy a Freightliner or a
Okay, that's what we had before, wasn't it? It was a road chassis that you had, not that we had before, that you demoed before.
Right.
And we offer every type of sweeper.
Okay.
Chassis mounted models, mechanical, vacuum, like you brought up, regenerative air, all those sort of things. Typically, one sweeper communities have mechanicals because they can go out. You don't have to have water. You can run them under 32 degrees. And the problem with vacuum, they do a really good job in certain scenarios, but there's an 11-inch or 12-inch vacuum tube. And in the Midwest during the fall, we have a 13-inch stick or a 20-inch stick that plugs up, and then you get out and you plunge the thing out 20 times a day during the fall. So
Will this get us under the tree lines in Roberson?
It is a lower profile than the Pelican, right?
yeah, it's probably pretty similar. I don't know height off the top of my head, but
And they've trimmed those trees up pretty
Okay.
low in there, so, yeah.
you can keep that if you need to.
Thank you.
Comments? Will you hold that for 2 weeks?
I will.
Is that acceptable to ask him?
Fine by me, yes. My support on it.
Is there still a chance for a special meeting being called before that? Just because I know the owner's going to ask me that question as well. Or is it going to be, we're going to wait 2 weeks to to do it in public.
Do you think you'll get fired if we wait 2 weeks?
I hope not. No, I won't. But
I think the interest.
I need to justify
I think
it.
the interest is there.
Okay. Okay.
Could you rent it with rent applied to purchase?
We don't want to rent this because we want it to sell as a brand new unit.
That's true.
Yeah, it'd be a used unit at that point.
Yeah, you'd have to put it in your rental fleet.
Yeah, which we don't want to do, so, no.
Okay.
And just to be clear, I'm very familiar with the law that is set forth in this proposal, and it is true, and I've actually worked on those before, where if it's a unique opportunity, single source supplies, you cannot, you can bid or you don't have to bid for the equipment if it's been bid in a different city or, government entity, that is allowed. Unfortunately, I saw in here that this was bid in Minnesota, so I don't know if a bid in Minnesota is applicable in Indiana, and that's what I'm looking up.
Even though we are members of the Sourcewell program.
That will be in my analysis.
Pardon?
That will be in my analysis.
How long will it take to find that out for us?
It shouldn't take that long. A day.
I don't know if you work close with other communities around. We did one in Franklin, Indiana yesterday on a sewer truck, and it passed through the Sourcewell thing, but I understand boards and everybody else is different, so, almost everything we do and every manufacturer does these days is through Sourcewell or something like this. The bid's been done, the hard work has been done by somebody else. The prices are there, they're published. We're not allowed to do anything with the pricing. That ceiling is, we can go down, but the ceiling is there. So most people go to bid. So if you tell me you're buying this, I don't trigger $350,000, which I wouldn't do, but it gives you that nobody can charge any higher than this dollar amount.
I think what her concern is, though, where it was bid. I don't know if the vac truck in Franklin was bid in Indiana or someplace else, but I think that's her concern there.
Sure. Sourcewell, if anybody buys off Sourcewell, that's a Minnesota government entity, so, but every city or town or municipality is different, so I totally get that. And we want to do everything on the up and up, so if we need 2 more weeks, we can, and we'll do that for you. We've worked with you guys for.
Do you have financing through your companies?
We don't. We work with banks that do that, but as I told Dave.
She was able to get some of those. I just wanted to.
Yeah, we like to go local, so see if your local bank will match it or beat it a little bit and stay local.
I just want to clarify with the attorney. I'm against buying something this expensive without a bid, but this process has been bid through this Sourcewell. It's just not the traditional bidding process that we would normally go through.
That is true.
Okay, because people are saying it's not been bid, but it's been bid, and I just want the public to understand that.
Sure, and I can only relate to what I've done before in a previous situation. I helped do a similar, it was for an ambulance, and it was a very specific ambulance. And there was a similar situation where it was bid in a different city and town, and you are able to use those competitive bidding prices all throughout the state.
So this would be the result of competitive bidding?
It would be, yes.
Okay.
I apologize, I'm not familiar with whether the Indiana competitive bidding statute honors a bid that was initiated in a different state.
Okay.
I apologize.
I get that part. I just kind of wanted to clarify because I keep hearing bid versus not bid, but it's been bid just in this.
It would be considered previously bid.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple other things. Our sewer pipelining project will be complete by the end of the week. It's coming along. Leaf pickup started yesterday. That's all I have.
Do we need to table this for the next meeting, or do you want a special meeting for the street sweeper? He
said he would wait the 2 weeks. That'll give us an opportunity, maybe Diane to give us an opportunity on how we can pay for it, whether we do an additional appropriation, whether we, and we can start that process also.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
I don't think we have any more department heads. Dagnabbit. Electronic meeting resolution. Did he send back a resolution with the,
Yes.
hear or heard or seen?
It's updated.
Gentlemen, this is the resolution that we had at our last meeting. We'd asked for some clarification on heard or seen. It has been corrected. Motion to either approve or deny Resolution 25, 2021, and that is our electronic participation of meetings.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Well, the version in this packet still has the original language. Is there a new one there?
Yeah, she pulled this right off of the printer.
Okay, sorry.
Copy right down there in front of you, Shane.
She switched them out.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I missed that. I'm for it
Okay.
I just saw the old language still there and was
Didn't
like,
receive it from legal until about 5:45.
okay, no problem. So I'm for.
Jeff, Dustin, 5-0.
Okay.
Light duty, we already did that. Dedicate Phase 3 of Eastmore. Did he send any of that with you?
It is my understanding that we are still working on the dedication for Eastmore. And it will be given to you at the next meeting.
Do you have anything else, legal counsel?
Yes, we would ask for authority to engage a second attorney with regard to a fire personnel issue, and we would request a motion to grant us authority to hire additional counsel.
And this is in regards to us serving as a safety board? Is
It
that
would
correct?
be, yes. Specifically, a town attorney cannot represent both a fire chief and a town council in the same proceeding.
Other questions or comments on that? This would go back to, the council serves as a safety board. We had an issue, disciplinary dispute. We hired representation for the fire chief outside of our current representation. I think at that point in time, it was Steve Bushman, who has since retired, but that is what they're asking permission to do, is for them to go ahead and hire representation for administration within the fire department.
Same rates and so forth.
I think they'll bring us a letter of engagement, won't you?
There would be a separate letter of
There would be.
engagement.
Okay.
But they would need the permission to at least request a letter of engagement for us.
So moved.
Motion been made. Dustin, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Dustin, Jeff, 5-0. Do you have anything else, legal?
Thank you. Nothing more from legal tonight.
Not light duty, that is. Now is the time for all good people to come to the aid of their community. Are there any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am.
I want to comment on the traffic flow problem or concern, or whatever. The change of traffic flow at New Armstrong School. 2 thumbs up, because they closed the east driveway to traffic. When they pick up kids and drop them off, they all have to go down to the light, go in, come all the way around. So that takes care of all the traffic backing up on the,
B lane.
yeah, on 144, yeah. they were all on the emergency lane.
So you are happy with it?
I'm very.
It was this board that did it.
Who was in charge of it, but it's, why hasn't it been done sooner? That's my only question, but that, to me, my daughter says, that's why the light is there. So they all go down and wait for the light, go in and go all the way around, and then they have to come out that way too. So also coming from the west, going in, they're not lining up all the way to the one driveway that has no light there. So to me, it's perfect. I didn't see any backup of traffic tonight. It's perfect. Other than when I did leave to come up here, I did see a white pickup truck go in that entrance around those barriers. It's like, oh, some people.
I think that guy back there drives a white pickup truck. In all reality, that was not this council, that was our school board. And I think that any government agency like that, we all try to do what's right. We all try to look for a better way, a better mousetrap, and a way to make it better. But I would like to take the credit because sometimes we get blamed more than we give
That's
credit.
quite all right. I have no idea where it came from, but it's perfect. Again, good utilization of the light there. There's going to be less squealing of tires and stuff because I live right down there from it, and so far there hasn't been any accidents this year because of directed traffic with 69 down there and everything. But to me, that is the most perfect solution. Utilize your lights. And I don't know how the parents feel about it, but to me, there's safety because so many times I try to get out of my driveway, then there are people coming out of that driveway, and so many accidents could be happening there. By the grace of God, they haven't been any. But people are just rushing out, trying to get out. Not anymore. They have to wait for the light. I'm so happy with that. That's all my comments.
Well, maybe our news media will pass that on. Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Anything else we can take credit for that we didn't have anything to do with, that people are happy with? Nope. Motion for approval of payment of claims?
Make a motion, we approve claims in the amount of $473,500.48.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Dustin Gregg, 5-0. Town council comments.
I have none. The only thing I have is there is a website for the 200th anniversary of Mooresville. It's mooresville200.com. You can go there and submit your ideas or sign up to help with that. It's not until 2024, but the committees are forming. If you want one of these little cards, they're on the corner of this as a reminder for you, at the corner of the counter there. So that's all I have.
Greg?
I just wanted to tell everybody to watch your catalytic converters. We went out and started we started all of our trucks this morning. One of them sounded a little bit loud, so we pulled it in the garage and had the DPF cut off of it, which is a diesel particulate filter, and they are very expensive. So I called the PD and they set three officers right down, and I got to commend Officer Miller. He asked me for a piece of cardboard. I gave him a piece of cardboard. He crawled underneath there, looked it all over, took pictures. So, cool, okay.
And they did a good job at Neil Armstrong, too. Anything else, Greg?
I think it's done.
Dustin?
Two things really quick. One, I failed to forward the letter from Taft. I take full responsibility. I went on fall break with my kids, and I didn't think a whole lot during that time, except for being with my kids. So
shame on you for being a good dad.
I have learned to say I know a lot more here lately because of them. The other thing is, Tom, you brought up something about paying down some debt. Several people have asked, is there a document? So me knowing you, it's in your head. So if you could put it down on that, I believe it was moving $750,000 for a rainy day, paying down CCD so we could kind of fund some of these projects. But if you could put that in a document and send it to us, that'd be great.
Anything else?
Nothing.
I have nothing. Next meeting date will be Tuesday, November 2nd. You guys want to do it here? 6:30?
I like it here.
Okay. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Dustin, Greg, 5-0.
Be safe, Jeff.
Go find the rest area.
Yeah.
See you all next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.